Hello there hoppers and welcome! Now, 2019 was certainly a good year for the gaming world of Pokémon. We got a couple of cool mobile apps in the form of Pokémon Rumble Rush as well as Pokémon Masters, each offering gameplay that was both unique and addictive. Also, the Gen 5 Pokémon finally made their way onto Pokémon Go, continuing to keep the app somewhat entertaining as it now enters its 4th year. However, the main event of course came in the form of the new generational Pokémon games. Yes, Pokémon Sword and Shield were released, and not only did they mark the first new generation since 2016, but they also marked the first console releases of a mainline Pokémon title, as the 7 previous generations were all released strictly on handheld consoles. So, it was a huge step for the franchise. And as I said before, it was a good year for Pokefans everywhere, as we have been spoilt for content. However, that being said, it looks like the Pokémon delivery truck is not stopping there, as Game Freak have already shown us that there is plenty more Pokémon content coming our way in 2020. Yes, this new year has already seen the releases of both Pokémon Home and even a remake of the much beloved Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team series, which is now on the Switch. But that being said, what I'm most excited for has to be the upcoming DLC expansion pass for Pokémon Sword and Shield, as they are giving us 2 brand new areas to explore, as well as over 200 more Pokémon from previous generations being added into the games. However, despite my excitement for this new DLC, the announcement has actually got me wondering. If we are getting a DLC expansion for Pokémon Sword and Shield, does that mean we won't be getting a director's cut of these games? Because as I'm sure you'll know, the generational Pokémon games tend to be followed by a slightly different version of the same game, and this is usually released about a year after the originals. These versions are commonly referred to as director's cuts. Now, these director's cuts, if you will, are usually about 95%, if not more, the exactly the same game as their original counterparts. However, what makes them different is they tend to include additional features, and sometimes even expanded story arcs that the original releases didn't contain. And this is a trend we have seen throughout almost the entire mainline Pokémon series. Red and Blue had Yellow, Gold and Silver had Crystal, Ruby and Sapphire had Emerald, and Diamond and Pearl had Platinum. Things then changed briefly with Black and White, as instead of a director's cut, they instead got direct sequels in the form of Black 2 and White 2, which in many ways acted as the same thing. In fact, Pokémon X and Y remain the only ones to date truly lacking a director's cut of any kind, as there is no direct sequels and there is no director's cuts. However, things then quickly went back to formula with Sun and Moon, as the following year they dished out Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So, as you can see, there is almost always an expanded version of the mainline generational Pokémon games. And as I said, these director's cuts tend to release a year after the originals. So, therefore, seeming as Pokémon Sword and Shield were released back in November of 2019, it seems only logical that a new, expanded director's cut should follow in 2020. However, that doesn't seem to be the case this time round, as there have been no announcements to date whatsoever regarding a new upcoming version of these titles. That being said though, there has been a DLC announcement, and it has already been confirmed to be releasing later this year. So, with all that being said, it would actually seem that instead of releasing a Pokemon Helmet or Pokemon Mega Sword or Mega Shield, for example, in other words, a director's cut of these games, they have instead decided to release a DLC expansion pack, therefore allowing us to add to our current adventures rather than forcing us to start a brand new one on a brand new game. So yes, that's what I personally believe they're actually doing here. They are still giving us the director's cut we normally get, with the expanded story and the extra features, but rather than releasing yet another version of the same games, they are instead moving with the times and releasing it as a DLC, instead of rebranding it as a completely new game. And yeah, I think it's a great idea, because as much as I do love a physical collection, I think it's a great idea to release a DLC rather than a completely new game, as it allows us to upgrade the games we already own and therefore saving us money in the process. And yes, I know £30 for the DLC is a little expensive. However, I would rather pay £30 to upgrade my current game than pay around £50 for a slightly different version of the game I already own. And, you know, when you actually think about it, up until now, that's exactly what we have been doing. We've been buying the same game, not once, not even twice, but in most cases 3 times. 3 damn times! Hell, sometimes even 4 times! We've been buying 4 copies of the same game, just so we can have a few extra Pokemon here or a few extra features there, just so we can say we have the entire collection. And let's face it, as Pokemon fans, we are all collectors by nature. Collection, collection, collection. Got to catch them all. And you know, the fact that we just willingly pay for the same game, sometimes 4 times, it's crazy when you think about it. Even twice would be extortionate, but 4 times. But still, what's even crazier than that is that now Game Freak are actually doing something beneficial, it would seem, for the players, for the fans, something that would actually save us money in the long run. In other words, a DLC. There's actually been a substantial backlash. Yes, many fans have taken to the modern front line of Twitter, accusing Game Freak of using the DLC as a scheme to make more money. And for reasons I've already stated, I just cannot agree with this statement, because in the long run, it will save us money. If anything, they're making 3 or 4 versions of the same game, with only minor differences. That's a money grab. And yet no one has ever really had a problem with it. So why all this sudden backlash? Why is this great idea suddenly the toast of the hate-fueled town? Well, I think it boils down to just one word. Dexit. But that is another video for another time. Well, hoppers, that just about does it for this video. Please give us a like, and if you haven't already, why not subscribe to the channel? That way you're showing me your support and you're not missing out on any of the new content. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I have. Take care, hoppers, and I'll hopefully see you next time.